You're listening to Finish the Damn Book, the podcast for procrastinators. Susie Schaefer, known as the Book Doula, works with authors and publishing professionals to turn stories into movements that make an impact.
Welcome to this episode of Finish the Damn Book. I'm your host, Susie Schaefer. Carol Abrahamson is former top McGraw-Hill executive who founded Executive Authors 2 decades ago to help business-building authors and aspiring industry leaders generate big business growth via writing the right book and having the right business and right action plan for their growth goals. Carol was a book awards judge at a popular awarding program and won a slew of quality awards for some of the 42 nonfiction books she's written and built her businesses around. She also helps high-profile national and international organizations create their own book award program and founded Book Award Mastery, the only comprehensive awards research, planning, and application service for all authors, even ones with long ago published books. Carol is currently writing 3 more nonfiction books about how awards were life and game-changing for 200 authors, and the many phases of being an industry leader and the cycles and phases of business partners that they typically go through. Welcome, Carol.
Thrilled to be here, Susie. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the myths around book reviews. Why are they so overlooked?
Book awards.
Book awards, sorry.
Right. Reviews is another topic that I don't know anything about. We're in trouble if we need to talk about reviews.
Yes, absolutely.
So, overlooked. Gosh, there's lots of reasons. First of all, there's a lot of out-of-date information about book awards because COVID really changed that world in some really significant ways. And as I offer my master class to publishers and to people who provide services to authors, they so often come to me afterwards saying, "Oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. I thought I knew it all." But you just taught me that there's a whole bunch of new stuff going on that's happened in the industry. Everything from certainly moving into digital files to be reviewing instead of having it be pretty much a printed book world that goes to the judges, as well as really juiced up marketing plans as the programs that offer awards are getting serious about competing with each other more and more and offering really interesting packages of awards prizes. That's all heating up. And plus they're accelerating their own marketing plan with email outreach months before submission window even opens. When they're keeping email lists, they're acting like a regular online business now, where before COVID, they were not doing that in the main. Lots of changes, as well as a big explosion in the number of awards given each year. It's now up to over 10,000.
Wow.
And the database we keep on awards has slots for 12,000, over 12,000, but only about 10,000 get awarded each year because there aren't enough really super great award submissions at this point. There's capacity for the industry to offer more awards and serve more authors, which suits my mission just very, very well as the authors who hear me. So there's room for even more without the current programs having to do much. All they just need is more submissions, and there'll be even more awards given each year.
When you work with an author, what does that look like? Can you kind of paint the picture for what an author would expect when working with you to go after these awards?
Sure. We are unique in that we're the only comprehensive program that supports our authors through the entire process. And for most authors, it takes almost a year or more to just go for their first round of award applications. That support through the whole process is really important. The rest of the industry provides 2 deliverables to authors. And since 1931, almost 100 years ago, when the first awards program that I know about opened their doors, the whole industry has offered 2 services. They do help authors decide which awards to go after in terms of their application or their submission process. Those words are kind of used interchangeably for newcomers to this world, as well as they provide support with the actual application process, which of course has been simplified now that we have shopping carts and credit cards that in the 1930s and 40s they probably didn't have. So that the whole industry's been around, the researchers having very short lists of award opportunities that they know about because they're doing everything manually. They would feel, and there are thousands of them out there even today who are helping authors apply for awards. With 10,000 awards given each year, That, by my accounting, that means somewhere between 300 and 500,000 books every year are being researched and submitted every year by somebody. It's not us. We're the new kids on the block. It ain't us yet. That's got the lion's share of that. There's this army, this cottage industry of part-timers and people buried in big five publishing houses and VAs and book PR firms who do this work of helping authors who have been doing this work for decades on getting the research done against a short list of possibilities and helping with this actual submission process. We've added 4 more deliverables to that process because I've always felt that was incomplete and even inadequate coverage for an author. So in addition, what we do is we help our author develop a comprehensive application strategy. We provide 8 perfect fit award ideas for them from our database of 10,000. Right away, we're different there with having using technology assistance to be able to cover a much larger batch of possible matches for authors. We provide 8 perfect fits as our part of the research deliverable, and we help with submissions. We'll either for free submit if the authors want us to, using our credit card. If they want to just send some money to us ahead of time, we're happy to put it on our card and do that submission, which is a 10-minute online shopping, buy a Kindle kind of experience. We're happy to support them in being sure they have all the right copies of their manuscript or their PDFs, whether they're already published or whether they're submitting ARCs or galley copies, being sure that they have everything to do it themselves if that's what they want to do. So those 2 basics of the industry we cover, but then we add the application strategy on top of that. And a lot of our authors work on kind of a 2-year time frame. Either their budget is tight or limited, let's say, and they want to spread the investment of $100 per award over 2 years instead of doing it all at once. Or they want to have some continued juice feeding their marketing machine with awards announcements popping up over a couple of years, sometimes even more than 2. A lot of authors go for the kind of 2-year mindset on that one. So that for 2 years, if they've applied, let's say, for 5 or 6 awards in that 2-year period, and they win at least 3 or 4, that gives them some little pops of juice that they can pop into their book marketing machine, because awards do supercharge whatever the book marketing machine already has in it. And the third reason that it sometimes is an extended process of the application strategy deliverable, that's still what I haven't veered away from that deliverable yet, is a lot of authors, me included, go for the awards before the launch. So you launch as an award-winning author with an award-winning book. So if you're going to do that, first of all, you're delaying your launch, which not all the authors want to do and even can do, but you're delaying the launch. So you may be applying for awards, again, some awards pre-launch, but also some for post-launch announcement to just kind of keep some juice going. We help authors just think through and plan through their strategies on what they're going to apply for, what kind of budget they're going to set, and how they're going to stretch their budget across the awards that we've told them about that they're most interested in applying for. Then our next deliverable is that while our authors are waiting for their awards news, there's that judging period, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 months, somewhere in there that everybody's just waiting for the news once all the submissions have been done. So we provide at that time, we have a very strong focus on author goals. We sell 3 plans and they are goal driven. Those 3 plans are sell more books, and that's for the entire fiction crowd and any part of the nonfiction crowd that is not building a business with a book. That's a $500 fee for us. Then there's the Build Your Business with Your Book plan, $1,000 fee for nonfiction part of the world, where that's the mission and the goal set. Our third plan that we are currently selling now is Become an Industry Leader through your book's expertise, and that's a $2,500 fee. We are with those 3 channels of programs. They all have the very same deliverables, the 8 perfect fits, the submission help, the application strategy we've just talked about, plus now workshop and action planning toward their number 1 author goal based on whatever plan they bought. I've been saying for 20 years since, as a book coach, I first started helping authors identify the right awards. I've been saying an award without a multi-strategy, multi-year action plan is as useless as a book is without one. And we just don't let our authors get through our system without understanding that and working on their action plan. So the workshop, we give them a bunch of ideas some of which they've probably not heard before. And then the action planning co-working time, they actually start looking at which ideas, either through us or that they've heard elsewise, they're really serious about researching and thinking about. So that deliverable during the judging period happens, and we offer those workshops 3 times a year. So that pretty much fits in every author's judging period window somewhere, some earlier than others. We're just building out and growing into a new part of the service, which is we call our Wall of Winners. Book award winners are very often specifically sought by a variety of people who only want to work with award winners. You've got libraries who will only buy award-winning books or books by local authors. You've got tons in that category. You've got book clubs who, if no one in the membership of the club has a strong idea that everybody else in the club likes about what book to cover next, they will go for the award winners. You have people who with podcasts looking for people to interview, but people like you looking for award winners to interview. You've got people who own regular stages looking for speakers. You've got collaborators, people looking for co-authors, all kinds of folks who are specifically looking for award-winning authors. And we are the only service and the only vehicle through what's coming later this year, our Wall of Winners website, forever free listings of the entire book team for the award-winning authors so that they can be discovered and invited into the world of all these folks. And we don't monetize it at all. We don't monetize either end of it. We don't monetize it for the people who are looking to discover folks, and we don't monetize it for the authors. That's sort of our gift to the industry. To us, that's our role as industry leader, to just do that for the industry. And then our last deliverable is whether our authors win or don't win the awards they applied for, they can go through our whole system for their title, again, for free. Whether they won and they want another collect badges, like we used to collect Girl Scout badges when I was a Girl Scout, they can just go through the system again. Awards, all they have to do is the $100 per application fee. If they didn't win their first round and we want to look at maybe a different angle on the book's content or a different kinds of application strategy, then fine, they can go through it again, fingers crossed, that second time round, they'll win some. Long answer. I apologize for all the wordiness, but that, of course, takes often a year or more to do all those steps and for us to be able to deliver all those services.
Okay, super. Thank you for that very comprehensive overview. Because you actually answered a couple of my questions when you were talking about that. I'd like to ask, do you have any book awards that you think are best for new authors? Any specific ones that you think are a good fit for new authors to go after?
It is not so much about new author or old author, and let me address the new author versus old author since we've touched on it. 2,000 of the 10,000 awards in our database are completely indifferent as to what the publication date is. As long as the content hasn't gone out of date, the book can be 10, 20, 30 years old. It does not matter. 2,000 out of the 10,000 given every year fit in that category. And the whole rest is more of a typically 2 to 3, maybe 5-year kind of a purview on publication date. That, of course, is not necessarily all first-time authors, but it's current authors as opposed to new authors. But programs have the number of categories and the variety is amazing. There are awards for genres. There are awards for topics. There are awards for formats, workbooks, cookbooks, coffee table books, gift books is what I kind of mean by formatting awards. There's cover awards and illustrator awards that are very popular with the children's book authors. There are awards for new authors, first-time authors, second novel authors even have some awards specifically. There's awards for regional books based on where the setting is of the book, if it's either fiction or the nonfiction, the stories told in a nonfiction book. There are other awards for what state or region of the world the author lives in. I mean, it is just a crisscrossing, which is why without technology, the people in the business of researching awards really had one hand tied behind their back because there are just so many possibilities to keep track of and look at. We all have our own system. Every one of us who do awards research have our own system. Truth-telling time. I have no idea what's the best one, but I know the one that my instinct as a former judge as well as a winner has had us build our business around. We have a database that started with 459 programs that give awards. 459. We immediately tagged 120 of them as unsuitable. Unsuitable either because they're money grabs, they don't do real judging, everybody who applies wins, We've heard odd things about them from either authors or other people in the industry. And I've been touching awards with authors for 20 years now. So I've heard a lot of stories about suspicious corner cutting on the judging side or odd approaches to running an awards giving business. Right away, we've put those aside as the unsuitables. And then of the remainder, we've tagged 143 as our best of the rest. And it's those 143 programs that have 12,000 slots and give 10,000 awards every year. That is our world. And we will match an author 6 ways to Sunday based on what the author, the book, and the author goals profile is all about.
I think that's a really important point to make because I get emails every week from authors saying, "Hey, is this legit?" And I think that there are a lot of scammers out there, and there's a lot of programs that don't do what they say they're going to do, or they say that there's a huge monetary prize, and then you're, like you said, they don't even do judging. I think it's really important. I think that's probably one of the best values that you offer is that the award programs that you're submitting to have actually been vetted by you.
It's something we take very seriously. We score every program on 15 different, including rumor and anecdotes. So it's not all hard facts that we can compile. There is some fuzzy, squishy stuff in there that we can't be 100% sure we've got accurate information, but we figure by looking at it, each one from 15 different angles in order to get into our best of the rest group, that we're on safe territory.
Yeah.
with that.
I think that what you said earlier too about really developing your book awards plan into your marketing is really very, very smart for an author because like you said, you can actually apply to certain awards this year or right after your book is launched. And then you could actually wait and apply to other ones, knowing that it doesn't matter when the book was actually published. But this gives the author more content to actually use over a longer period of time, which is more beneficial for them as far as doing the book marketing.
Absolutely, for sure. But I do have a 1-hour masterclass, which is everybody whose money we take has to go through the masterclass so that we're of one mind about how this industry works, what it's about. And so we've got one slide on there that says some of the results of winning an award is sell more books. Well, and then I always come back to that at the bottom of the slide saying, let me talk about sell more books. Your books are not going to fly off the shelf just because suddenly you've got an award-winning sticker on the cover.
Right.
That's not how it works. But the rest of your entire book marketing plan, anytime there's a buyer who's looking at an award-winning book, yours, compared to a non-award-winning book on a very similar topic, well, they're going to be leaning in to the award-winning. And that's how the concept of how awards actually help sell books works.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the benefits of print-on-demand services and independent publishing is that you can go ahead and publish your book, do your launch, and say you don't hear back for 6 months on an award that you submitted to. When you get that award back, you can then go back and revise your cover and re-upload it because then it does show right on the cover, award-winning book or whatever that award might be. But that is a great way that you can do that. Many book publishers, if they're hybrid or even a traditional publisher, may not actually do that for you as an author. That's another benefit to independent authors who are looking to go after those awards.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so let me see here. Let's talk a little bit. One of my favorite topics to talk about is intuition. You've had a very long career in and working with award programs and that type of thing. When was the time that you listened to your intuition and it had a positive result, or maybe a time that you didn't listen to your intuition and it fell flat?
I started in the book business at McGraw-Hill in the 1970s. And then I left the industry. And the intuition that brought me back was really related to my own experience. But it was a tough slog mentally, to really be willing to let go of the brass ring I was holding on to. I was in corporate financial consulting. Shortly after I left McGraw-Hill, I took the functional specialty that I had about corporate finance that I applied in my McGraw-Hill job and turned that into a consulting business. And I wrote my first book at that time, 1987 was my first book. That first book brought my one-person consulting business $2 million in consulting revenues. $2 million, almost 40 years ago. That's probably worth about $8 million now,
Yeah.
based on prices of things like cars and rent have gone up during those same decades. And I only printed 250 books, and I gave away 200, and those 200 brought me, because I was selling $30 and $40 and $50,000 consulting packages. That was a very nice lifestyle. Not working too hard. I was bored out of my brain because my consulting clients only had the same 3 or 4 diseases they asked me to cure. So after a while, but based on the success as a business building author and the publicity I got just within my industry from that first book, and then the 8 books I wrote 2 years later, the 8 training manuals that identified all the best practices in that profession for the first time. Based on the success of that, that's when I started thinking about going back to the book world. But it took me years to actually get ready to do it. And I, 20 years ago, started the company called Executive Authors, which still exists, executiveauthors.com. It has always been just for business building books. And it really defined the phrase executive author. One of the many phrases now used in the industry that we didn't have 20 years ago about what to call these authors who are writing business building books. It was a real pull, but it just kept coming back. And that's why I responded and introduced on a stage in my profession on a panel discussion or at a conference. And my bio would have fun fact, Carol's first book brought her $2 million in consulting revenues. And then she wrote 8 more 2 years later and blah, blah, blah. And I would be swamped afterwards with disappointed business building authors who had all written business books, poured their heart and soul in them and their bank account in some cases, and never got any results, which is why I started Executive Authors, to really make the connection of a book that's specifically designed to bring business building results to the author. That's how it just kept coming back to me. And finally, I paid attention to it and did something about it.
Love that. And I have to say, you make a really good point with, you didn't earn that $2 million from selling your book. You made the $2 million off of the consulting fees that you charge that use the book as a marketing tool. I want to make sure that people really hear that. It's not about necessarily selling the book. It's what services you're selling that the book is promoting. So when you can kind of wrap your head around that, and then you understand, oh yeah, that book is a marketing tool. This is why it's important to go after awards, because it does elevate you and your brand so that you can charge those higher fees and make the $2 million in the consulting fees.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
It's all connected.
Yes. All connected. Yes.
All connected.
And I gave away those 200 books with a cover letter to CEOs who were my target market. It was very simple. Anybody can do that. It's probably not as powerful today as it was then, because it's been done and is being done so often in so many industry segments. That's already kind of an old news trick, where when I was doing it, it was not an old news trick. But to have the back end services defined and ready to go and ready to hint at in that cover letter. Of course, I was giving away books, which Amazon.com hates, but I've never put a book on Amazon. Why would I put that book on Amazon? Why would I ever put a book on Amazon when I'm trying to sell the $30 or $40 or $50,000 package? Why would I put 2 seconds into selling a $20 or a $30 book? Never happened. I know that may make some of your listeners, as well as people in your world on the publishing side, anguished to hear me say that, but Amazon doesn't like it when you give away books. And I wanted to give away books because I wanted to know exactly where I was scattering the wildflowers. I knew where my buyers were, my potential clients. I knew exactly who they were. And I just knew I had to get my book into their hands.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with giving away your book. Like you can do exactly what you said that you did, like just cover letter and send off a book and get results from it. But at the same time, you also, by being on Amazon, you're getting exposure as an author that you wouldn't necessarily get. There's 2 sides to every coin. And I think an author, it's more important for them to figure out what is part of my marketing plan and what's the best use of the platforms and what's the strategy for me going forward, because everybody's different. Every business is different. What works for one person may not work for another.
Absolutely. Or even with one market segment 2 years later or 3 years later, just suddenly falls flat, just doesn't land at all. So you got to go back to plan B or start from
Exactly.
scratch.
And
Yeah.
things are changing so fast with technology, with just the way the markets are evolving. Things have changed just since last year. And we were talking about during COVID. Yeah, everything's changed during COVID. But even the last year, there's been so many changes with the onset of AI that it's phenomenal. There's so many opportunities now. I think it's important for authors to always look at what's the bigger picture and where do I want to land?
Absolutely. Even Amazon is changing. When I was giving away books, Amazon's terms and conditions said Amazon didn't exist in the late 80s or any of my books that I wrote in the 90s. But when Amazon arrived on the scene, for years, their terms and conditions were that they would shut down authors who were giving away books. All of us book
Yeah.
coaches had clients who actually lived and breathed that. Well, nowadays, Amazon doesn't do that. All Amazon just claims is if they find out one of their sellers who's an author is giving away books, Amazon has the right to also mark that author's book prices all down to zero to match the lowest possible price, which is the Amazon game, having the lowest possible price on the products. But at least they don't shut down the sites the way they
Yeah.
used to.
And Amazon would be hard pressed to actually challenge an author in that situation because honestly, the author, it owns the copyrights. If Amazon doesn't want to play nice, then we pull books off Amazon and we go to Ingram Spark. Simple.
Right.
It's easy.
Yes.
We know how to play the games.
And there's more changes to come. I mean, I have no idea
Absolutely.
I have no idea at this moment how AI is going to change the judging world.
Yeah.
I've got to believe that the book judging world is going to move to some Amazon assisted processes, some more than others, some faster than others, and it's just going to be something to watch.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting. You'll have to keep us posted on that for sure. We talked about pulling some cards for you, so let's dive right into that. Before we move on, I want to say something to you directly. If you've been carrying the idea of a book for a while, there's a reason it hasn't been finished yet. Not because you can't do it, but because trying to do it alone keeps you in the same loop, thinking about it, starting and stopping, second guessing what comes next. That's the gap I help close. Inside Finish the Book Publishing, I work with you to take what you've started or what you've been holding on to and guide it all the way through to a finished, published book with clarity, direction, and real momentum. So if you're ready to move this forward, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com. What would you like to know? Or is there something that you'd like the audience to know? Is there a question that you have?
I would like to know, let's see, I have just been buried in the last 6 months by requests, opportunities to expose people to book awards, expose various service providers of authors and publishers to book awards, all kinds of opportunities. They take all kinds of forms and fashions. And I'm feeling a little swamped. I have not really disciplined myself to think about how to organize them, put them into buckets so that I can get them actually prioritized and really seriously and thoughtfully consider which ones to go after in terms of a match to my strategic plan and my mission. I would love any ideas about just making some sense of the mess that's here on my desk, as well as on my computer files and my email of sorting through the variety of invitations.
Okay. Let's see what the cards have to say. So the first card out is 5, a 5 card. So 5 is the number of change. So this is saying you're going to have to embrace change, right? Because the world is speeding up. Things are moving faster. The card itself is orphaned. So this is saying to me that when you don't feel like you have enough help and you feel like you're an island and you're going it alone, that this sense of being orphaned comes up in you. This actually may be connected to a past life where you were, in fact, orphaned. So it's very interesting. So I would suggest go a little deeper on that. When you have those feelings come up, say, where's this coming from? Where's this coming from? Is this coming from my childhood? Is this coming from maybe a past life? Where's the energy coming from? Because what it's saying to you is even though you might feel alone, you have resources. You just need to reach out to those resources to figure out how can I more easily navigate this situation. Oh, this is perfect. Now your next card's an 11. So 11 is about fate and destiny. And you've got by the book, right?
Mhm.
No coincidences here. So you can see there's 3 elephants here. They're walking in a line. Now, what this is telling us is that these 3 elephants are actually part of a family. So you have a family of people, resources, and things like that are available to help you. And you may have to just reach out to people and say, hey, I need someone to come in and do like a triage on all these requests I'm getting. And if you had like a triage manager, that person could do it. But what it's really saying is that do things the way that you've done in the past jobs, or that someone else in the industry has done before too, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to figure out what is the system that's going to work for you. So yeah, buy the book. And again, the past life timeline comes up here. That's this banner at the top. That tells me it's a past life. The banner is representative of, in medieval times, they used to use these banners between markets and fairs to indicate that this the town center kind of thing, the village center. So whenever I get those, it tells me that there's something from a past life that is coming up in your energy. So I think it's fascinating and very interesting. Now, your next card out is a 7. So 7 is the number of the divine, God, source, creator, universe. And this one is to the sea. So you can see she's in a little boat, and behind her are binoculars. It's a little hard to see in this card. And then forward is like a weather vane, and it's pointing toward the north. So it's saying, go towards your north node, go to your true north. Go toward that. Don't look behind you and remember the past, because honestly, because things are changing so quickly, the past is actually going to be somewhat irrelevant. Our experience is always still there, but really what we did in the past is not going to matter, because it's all going to change. All the technology is going to change. The way we interact is going to change. So it's saying, just remember to keep moving forward. Now, water, she's over on this water. Water represents emotion. So this rite of passage for you is what I'm getting, is really has deep emotion for you, but the water is not churned up. It's not scary. It's not a storm. It's very calm. So she's just allowing her intuition, her guidance, her inner guidance, right, to steer this boat and take her in the right direction, which is her true north. So it's really saying, Carol, you got it in you. Just listen to your intuition.
Wow.
Which is so interesting because, this goes back to our conversation about intuition. And when you've used it in the past, you knew exactly what to do. You were like, I kept coming back to this. It kept steering me back, or kept steering me back. So the same thing applies here. What are the things that you can put in place that are going to help you navigate those feelings of overwhelm when you get a lot of those requests coming in? And when you put the systems and the structure into place, it then kind of self-corrects. It corrects itself. So it'll be easier for you. But I think that's also a good message for our listeners too, that when you're feeling alone, reach out to the people that are part of your tribe, or people that can help you, especially if you're in the writing process and you're hearing this message today, or if you're thinking about, oh, I want to go after book awards, but I don't have the time. There's so much involved with the applications and how to decide which version of my book to submit and how often I should do it. So this is a call to our listeners to reach out to you, Carol, because they need to rely on you, because you have those resources, just like you need to rely on other people to help you with the inundation of requests that come in. So I really love it when the cards tie into our conversation. They always do. But
Yeah.
it's really kind of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's super. Okay. So Carol, how can people find you?
All right. The business's name is Book Award Mastery. So bookawardmastery.com. There you will see an ability to sign up for our next public 1-hour masterclass to learn a whole lot more, and no obligation. It's free masterclass. We'd love to have you. You can sign up there. There's also a lead magnet called 22 Free and Nearly Free Ways to Promote Your Award-Winning Book. You can download that if you're on the path to award-winning. Start some planning. And my email is carol@carolabrahamson.com. That is tied around my name, since I have multiple businesses that I run. All of that can go in the show notes.
Love it. Do you have any final words of advice for our authors or our listeners?
I do. When you go to our homepage, you'll see the first words on it is that book awards change authors' lives. There is no question that book awards change authors' lives. Just in the process of thinking about, might I become an award winner? Could I really become an award winner? Should I apply for some? Just that whole nexus of thinking, just that itself, without actually winning, without actually even applying, doing anything, we have found over and over and over again, has authors starting to think bigger and bolder and just more creative and they just have more confidence about stepping into their greatness. So that is a key part of our mission, is just how that book awards really do change authors' lives, not just the literal win awards that then bring all the new and creative relationships that you can't get without a win, but just that amazing mindset change that happens.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being here, Carol. I love your excitement.
Thank you. I've loved being here. Wow.
And if you found this interesting, I encourage you to join me for the next episode and be sure to subscribe. Until then, keep on writing so that you can finish the damn book. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Finish the Damn Book, hosted by Susie Schaefer. If you're serious about finishing the damn book and want to explore what that could look like for you, your next step is a conversation. You can book a consultation at finishthebookpublishing.com and find out what it would take to move your book forward.